When teaching beginner vaulters, the focus of the compulsories is learning to have good harmony with the horse. There are endless corrections that could be made to improve compulsories, but this video will center on common faults and corrections related to the main focus. In a seat, you want your vaulter sitting evenly on their seat bones, not too far forward in a fork seat, and not too far back in a chair seat. Ideally, their legs will line up in a shoulder hip heel position just like when they're riding. When getting up to a box to prepare to do a flag, it's very important that you land as softly as possible on the horse's back. Lots of time new vaulters will push really far back and land on their knees, or land with their toes digging in, which is something that's not very comfortable for the horse. Asking your vaulter to put as much weight on their hands as possible while swinging up to their knees will help them land in a nice position on the horse's back. While doing the half leg for walk D, the vaulter wants to aim to keep their shin as flat as possible on the horse's back by pushing weight into their ankle. You want to avoid the foot popping up, pushing all weight into their knee, or the toe digging in, pushing lots of weight into the horse's unprotected part of their back. In C, both the arm and the leg are lifted in the flag. The necessity of pushing weight into the shin becomes apparent in this move, because if the vaulter doesn't, they will most likely lose their balance and tip forward onto their hand. The kneel is similar to the flag, where the vaulter wants to keep pushing their weight all the way along their shins and ankles to avoid digging into the horse's back. Lots of new vaulters will try and do this position sitting down on their heels, or being really upright and removing the security of pushing their weight along their shins. When coaching this movement, it can be helpful to ask vaulters to think of sitting ever so slightly in a chair, which will help them keep the correct amount of bend in their hip crease. In the stand, the vaulter should aim to pop up to their feet softly, keep a light bend in their knees, and then grow tall so that their hips are stacked directly over their feet and they're balanced while on the horse. When coming down out of the stand, they should stay balanced from front to back on their feet and keep their eyes up while reaching for the handles and then gently lowering themselves down to a seat. If vaulters can't quite support their own weight, they may try to pop up and end up landing really hard on the horse's back. If this is the case, it may be helpful for them to step one foot at a time up into their stand while they develop the strength to be able to pop up. Many vaulters try and put themselves in a very straight-legged stand, which won't allow them to absorb the horse's motion as they're walking. Many others will try and keep their chest really low while sticking their bum up, which is a very unnatural standing position and won't feel stable at all. It may be helpful to encourage new standers to pretend they're standing on a walking horse while they're on the barrel. They can practice bending their knees with the movement of the walk, which will help them feel more comfortable with this movement once they're on the horse. Once the vaulter's standing up completely, they'll start getting comfortable being upright on the horse. It's important to practice getting comfortable stepping around if they have a slight loss of balance, rather than panicking and reaching for the handles as soon as they lose their balance. In the swing, vaulters should aim to have their belly button, or their center of gravity, right on top of the surcingle so they can do a light teeter-totter motion with their weight balanced on either side of the surcingle. Lots of vaulters will try and do this with their center of gravity too far back, which will make it really hard for them to get their legs up in the air. As long as they keep a nice tight position through their body and have their center of gravities right on top of the surcingle, they should be able to complete the swing with no issues. The aim of the mill is to have a very balanced, even seat through each leg pass. The height of the leg isn't important in the early stages. Often, in trying to get their leg higher, beginner vaulters will completely shift all of their weight onto one seat bone, which makes it less stable for them and less comfortable for the horse. Encourage new vaulters to keep the height of their leg low while feeling a really even weight distribution between their seat bones. In the backward swing, the vaulter should aim to have their weight over top of the surcingle so they can control how hard the landing is on the horse's back. Lots of vaulters won't lean all the way back over the surcingle, which will prevent their legs from coming up, or will lean back a little bit and then push towards the tail, which will make their landing hard.